3 pregnancy tests. 3 pink lines. 3 reasons my life was officially over. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yoon Japchi was pacing behind me, her phone already out, probably Googling what to do when your roommate gets knocked up by a stranger. Japchi, you're not helping. I'm very not helping. I'm freaking out. You're freaking out. We're all freaking out. She grabbed my shoulders. Bap, who's the father? Please tell me it's that nice barista from the cafe. Or that guy from your art class. Anyone normal. Please. I couldn't answer. My hands were shaking too hard. 6 weeks ago, my life was perfect. Well, perfectish. I was a struggling art student, barely making rent, but my paintings were finally getting noticed. A small gallery, nothing fancy but real, had agreed to showcase 5 of my pieces at their charity auction. I remember standing there in my best dress, borrowed from Japchi, watching strangers actually bid on my work. People wanted my art. People were willing to pay for my art. I felt like I was floating. Then he walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire year's tuition. Dark hair perfectly styled, sharp jawline, and these intense eyes that seemed to catalog everything in the room before landing on me. When he looked at my paintings, really looked at them, I saw something shift in his expression. He bought all 5. Didn't even negotiate. Just nodded at the auctioneer and paid obscene amounts of money like it was pocket change. At the after-party, he found me. Song Bibimbap? His voice was deep, smooth, dangerous in a way I couldn't quite identify. That's me. Though most people just call me Bap. Your work is extraordinary. He handed me champagne. The way you capture loneliness, it's like you're painting feelings I didn't know I had. We talked for hours. About art, about life, about everything and nothing. He was intelligent, funny in a dry way, and surprisingly vulnerable when he talked about beauty in a world that often felt ugly. I didn't even realize we'd left the party until we were in his penthouse, and his hands were in my hair, and nothing else mattered except the way he looked at me like I was the most precious thing he'd ever seen. Best night of my life. I woke up alone. He was gone. No note, no number, just a stack of cash on the nightstand that made my stomach turn. 20 million won. Like payment for services rendered. I'd cried, then gotten angry, then transferred every single one back to him with a message. I'm not a prostitute. Don't contact me again. He never replied. I tried to forget him. Tried to focus on my art, my career, my actual life. Then I missed my period. Then another one. Then the nausea started. Bap. Japchi's voice snapped me back to reality. You need to tell me who the father is. We need a plan. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and showed her the photo Sundabu had sent me this morning, my paranoid conspiracy theorist best friend who'd somehow tracked down Mr. Kong from the business card he'd left. Japchi's face went white. No. Tell me that's not. Kong Bulgogi, I whispered. Seoul's most feared mafia boss. 3 suspected murders, countless disappeared rivals, completely untouchable by law enforcement. My voice cracked. I'm pregnant with a crime lord's baby, Japchi. What the hell do I do? She sat down hard on the bathroom floor. Okay, let's think rationally. Does he know where you live? I don't think so. We met at the gallery, went to his place. Good. So we move. Change your name. Maybe plastic surgery? I saw this documentary. I can't afford to move. I returned his 20 million won, remember? My grand gesture of dignity has left me with exactly 47,000 won in my bank account. What about the baby? She asked carefully. I pressed my hand against my still flat stomach. I'd thought about it. Of course I'd thought about it. But every time I considered it, something in my chest hurt. I can't. I don't know why, but I can't. Then we keep it a secret. You have the baby, we tell people the father is, I don't know, a foreign exchange student who went back to France or something. A knock on the door interrupted her. Not a friendly knock. A heavy, authoritative, open this door or we'll open it for you kind of knock. We both froze. Song Bibimbap? A man's voice came through the door. My name is Park Samjiopsul. I work for Mr. Kong. He'd like to see you. Now. Japchi grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Don't answer it. The knocking came again harder. Miss Song, we know you're home. We can do this the easy way or the complicated way. Boss prefers easy. My heart was trying to escape my chest. How did they find me? What did Bulgogi want? Did he somehow know about the baby? If I don't answer, they'll break down the door, I whispered to Japchi. If you do answer, they might kill you. This is the MAFIA BAP. They don't make social calls. But I was already walking to the door, some suicidal part of my brain deciding that facing this was better than hiding. I opened it to find 5 men in black suits. The one in front, Samgyeopsal, presumably, looked like he could bench press a car. Miss Song. He was surprisingly polite. If you'll come with us, please. Boss has a business proposition. And if I refuse? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Boss really prefers easy, Miss Song. Japchi appeared beside me, phone out. I'm recording this. If she doesn't come back, I'm going straight to the police. Samgyeopsal glanced at her phone with amusement. By all means, record away. Though I should mention the police chief plays golf with boss every Thursday. Of course he did. I grabbed my jacket, my mind racing. Maybe this wasn't about the baby. Maybe he just wanted to yell at me about returning his money. Maybe I could get through this without him finding out I was carrying his child. As I walked toward the black SUV waiting outside, Japchi whispered urgently, "Don't tell them about the baby. In every mafia movie, they kill the illegitimate children." Single. 1. That's very reassuring, thanks, I muttered, climbing into the vehicle. As we drove through Seoul toward whatever fate awaited me, I pressed my hand against my stomach again, silently promising the tiny life inside me that I'd figure this out somehow. I just had to survive meeting Kang Bulgogi one more time. How hard could it be? The mansion was exactly what you'd expect a mafia boss to live in. Massive, intimidating, and definitely hiding at least 3 torture rooms I did not want to think about. Guards were everywhere. Not subtle guards either. These were the "we're armed and we want you to know it" kind of guards. As Samgyeopsal led me through the front entrance, I counted at least 15 security cameras and what looked suspiciously like a panic room entrance disguised as a coat closet. Boss is in his office, Samgyeopsal said, guiding me up a marble staircase that probably cost more than my entire art school tuition. Fair warning, he's been in a mood since you returned his money. Good. I've been in a mood since he left cash on my nightstand like I was. I'd save that energy for him, Samgyeopsal interrupted, though I caught the hint of a smile. He's been different since that night. Before I could ask what that meant, we stopped at a massive wooden door. Samgyeopsal knocked twice, then opened it, and there he was. Kang Bulgogi sat behind a desk that could comfortably seat 8 people, looking even more devastating than I remembered. Sharp suit, perfectly styled hair, and those intense eyes that had haunted my dreams for 6 weeks. But colder now. More controlled. This wasn't the vulnerable man who'd talked about beauty and loneliness. This was the mafia boss. Miss Song. He didn't stand. You returned my money. Straight to business, then. I lifted my chin, trying to ignore the way my omega instincts were screaming at me to submit to this alpha. I'm not a prostitute. I know. Then why? That's why I'm buying 10 more paintings. He slid a contract across the desk. Non-negotiable. I stared at the paper, then at him. You brought me here with armed guards to commission art? Among other things. He leaned back, studying me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. I've been following your career, Miss Song. 3 years now. Every gallery showing, every small exhibition. Your work speaks to something most people spend their whole lives trying to hide. My breath caught. Been stalking me? Admiring from a distance, he corrected. That night at the auction was the first time I worked up the courage to actually speak to you. Courage? I laughed incredulously. You're a mafia boss. What could you possibly be afraid of? Something flickered across his face. Vulnerability quickly masked. Rejection. Disappointment. The look in your eyes when you realized what I am. He gestured at the contract. I don't do relationships, Miss Song. I don't do normal. But I want to commission you exclusively. Live here, paint whatever you want, name your price. Live here? In the mafia mansion? While pregnant with his baby that he didn't know about? Absolutely not. 200 million won per painting. Full creative control. Studio space, supplies, anything you need. I said no. But my traitorous brain was already calculating that money could set me up for years, support a baby, give us security. No, this was insane. The guest house, then, Bulgogi said, as if reading my hesitation. Separate from the main mansion. Your own space. Ganabai. Purely professional. Why? I demanded. Why me? Why this? He was quiet for a long moment. Because when I look at your paintings, I remember what it feels like to be human instead of a monster. Damn it. Damn him for saying things like that with those eyes. Fine, I heard myself say. Guest house. I paint what I want. You don't interfere with my creative process or my life. And I want it in writing that I can leave whenever I choose. Deal. He added a clause to the contract right there. But you'll have security. Samgyeopsal will be assigned to you. I don't need. My rivals have already noticed the Omega artist I bought paintings from. You're associated with me now. That makes you a target. His voice went hard. This isn't negotiable. Great. Perfect. A babysitter who could probably kill me with his pinky finger. The first week was surreal. The guest house was bigger than any apartment I'd ever lived in. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, an actual studio with perfect lighting. I should have been thrilled. Instead, I was sneaking saltine crackers at 3 a.m. and throwing up as quietly as possible so Samgyeopsal wouldn't hear. The morning sickness was getting worse. I'd started wearing baggy hoodies and oversized shirts to hide the small bump that was starting to show. At 8 weeks, it wasn't obvious yet, but I was terrified someone would notice. I tried to paint. Really, I did. But it's hard to focus on art when you're gestating your client's secret baby while mafia business happens around you. I'd see Bulgogi occasionally. He'd stop by the studio to check my progress, always respectful, always keeping his distance. But I'd catch him looking at me sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read. You're eating more, he observed one afternoon, eyeing the 3 empty containers of japchae on my desk. Stress eating, I lied quickly. New environment and all. If you're uncomfortable here, I'm fine. I grabbed another container before my hands could shake. The paintings are coming along great. You'll love them. Probably. Maybe. I don't actually know what you like. I was rambling. I always rambled when I was nervous. Then everything went to hell. I was at a grocery store. Yes, I still did normal people things, much to Samgyeopsal's horror, when a black van pulled up and men in masks grabbed me. I screamed. Fought. But they were stronger, and within seconds I was in the van, speeding away while Samgyeopsal shouted into his phone behind us. They took me to a warehouse and removed my hood. Standing in front of me was another man in an expensive suit, not as handsome as Bulgogi, but carrying the same dangerous aura. Song bibimbap, he said pleasantly. I'm Honjajingmayan. Sorry about the dramatic entrance. You kidnapped me. Borrowed, really. He pulled up a chair, sitting backwards on it. Here's the thing, I don't want to hurt you. I actually want to offer you something better than what Kang's giving you. Better than a luxury guest house and millions for my art? Better than being a mafia boss's kept Omega. His eyes were sharp. Leave Kang. Come work for me instead. I'll protect you, pay you more, and actually treat you like a person instead of a prized possession. I'm not with Bulgogi, I said through gritted teeth. I just paint for him. Really? Jajingmayan leaned forward. Then why does he look at you like you're his entire world? Why did his whole organization mobilize the second you were taken? Why is he currently burning through my territory to find you? He's what? Before Jajingmayan could answer, an explosion rocked the building. The next 5 minutes were chaos, gunfire, shouting, smoke. Then the door exploded inward and there was Bulgogi, gun in hand, absolutely terrifying in his fury. Our eyes met across the warehouse. If you hurt her, he said to Jajingmayan, his voice deadly calm, I will burn your entire organization to the ground and scatter the ashes. She's fine, Kang. Just talking. Bulgogi crossed the space in 3 strides, grabbed me and pulled me behind him. We're leaving. Now. He didn't let go of my hand the entire drive back. That night, I woke up at 2 a.m. to wetness between my legs. Wrong wetness. Too early wetness. No, 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 I whispered, stumbling out of bed. Please, not yet. You're not ready yet. The pain hit. Sharp, wrong, terrifying. I screamed. Within seconds, Samgyeopsal burst through the door, then immediately called for Dr. Tekbaki. Within minutes, the guest house was full of people, and Bulgogi was there, demanding to know what was happening. "She's in labor," Dr. Tekbaki said, arriving with medical equipment. "How far along are you, honey?" 12 weeks, I gasped between contractions. 12, the doctor's eyes widened. "You're 12 weeks pregnant? And you didn't tell anyone?" Bulgogi went absolutely still. I watched him count backwards, watched realization dawn across his face. "It's mine," he said quietly. Not a question. A statement. I couldn't answer. Could barely breathe through the pain. "Everyone out except the doctor," Bulgogi ordered. When no one moved fast enough, "Now." The room cleared. He knelt beside me, his hand finding mine. "Bap, look at me." His voice cracked. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you're a mafia boss," I sobbed. "Because I thought you'd kill me or force me to." "Never." His other hand cupped my face. "I would never." "How could you think?" He stopped himself, breathing hard. "We'll discuss this later. Right now, you just need to survive this. Both of you. Please." Dr. Tekbaki was setting up for an emergency C-section. "This is going to be rough. The baby's too early. But we'll do everything we can." The last thing I remembered before the anesthesia kicked in was Bulgogi's hand in mine and his voice saying, "Stay with me. Please stay with me." Then darkness, and the sound of a baby crying, and Dr. Tekbaki saying, "It's a girl," and Bulgogi's tears falling on my hand. I woke up to the sound of medical equipment beeping and the terrifying silence of a baby who should be crying but wasn't. "Where is she?" I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my abdomen. "Where's my baby?" Dr. Choi Tekbaki appeared immediately, pressing me gently back down. "She's stable. Premature but fighting. We've set up a NICU in the East Wing." Yes, a full NICU, because apparently Kang Bulgogi can just acquire hospital-grade equipment overnight. She checked my vitals with practiced efficiency. "You need rest. The C-section went well, but you lost blood. I need to see her." "And you will. But first," she pulled up a chair, her expression serious. "We need to talk about the fact that you hid a pregnancy for 12 weeks while living in a mafia boss's guest house. That's either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid." "Stupid," I admitted. "Definitely stupid." "Does he know you knew it was his?" "He figured it out pretty fast when you said 12 weeks. She sighed. "Honey, I've delivered babies for half of Seoul's criminal underworld. I've seen every situation imaginable. But this..." She gestured around the makeshift medical room. "A mafia boss who personally funded a full NICU setup in 6 hours because his daughter was born premature? That's new. Where is he?" "With the baby. Hasn't left her side since she was born." Tekbaki's expression softened. "He's been doing skin-to-skin contact, talking to her, crying every time she moves. It's actually kind of beautiful in a terrifying crime lord kind of way." My chest tightened. "Can I see them?" She wheeled me to the East Wing, and nothing could have prepared me for the sight of Kang Bulgogi, Seoul's most feared mafia boss, shirtless in a rocking chair with a tiny baby against his chest, tears streaming down his face. "She opened her eyes," he said without looking up. "Just for a second. They're brown. Like yours." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. This man who'd left cash on my nightstand was crying over our daughter. "What did you name her?" I finally asked. "I was waiting for you." He finally looked at me, and the vulnerability in his eyes nearly broke me. "But I've been calling her Mandu. Like a little dumpling. Because she's small and precious and..." His voice cracked. "Is that stupid?" "That's probably stupid." "Kang Mandu." I tested the name. "It's perfect." Dr. Tekbaki cleared her throat. "I'll give you two some privacy. Bap. Keep the movement minimal. Bulgogi, she needs rest more than she needs emotional conversations." "We're having the emotional conversation," he said firmly once the doctor left. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you're a mafia boss, Gogi." The nickname slipped out. "You kill people. You make people disappear. I thought you'd either force me to abort or kill me for being a liability." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "You thought I'd..." He carefully stood, settling Mandu into her incubator before turning to face me fully. That night was the first time in 10 years I felt like a person instead of a monster. "You think I'd hurt the woman who gave me that?" The woman who carried, he gestured helplessly at Mandu. My child. I didn't know what to think. You left money, Bulgogi. 20 million won on the nightstand like I was some kind of... I panicked. His voice rose, then immediately softened when Mandu stirred. I woke up next to this incredible woman who looked at me like I was human, and I panicked because men like me don't deserve that. Don't deserve you. So I left money because at least that was something I could give you that wouldn't eventually destroy you. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm aware. He ran his hands through his hair. I've been in love with you for 3 years, Bap. Since I saw your first painting at that tiny gallery in Hongdae. Solitude in Blue. I stood there for an hour just staring at it because someone finally understood how it felt to be me. My breath caught. 3 years. I attended every showing. Bought paintings through intermediaries because I was too afraid to approach you. He laughed bitterly. The most feared man in Seoul, terrified of an Omega art student. But that night at the auction I thought maybe I could be brave just once. Tell you how your art made me feel. And then we ended up in my penthouse and it was perfect and I ruined it by being a coward. Mandu made a small noise, and immediately Bulgogi was there, checking her monitors, adjusting her blanket with surprising gentleness. You really love her, I said softly. I really love both of you. He didn't look at me. Which is why I'll understand if you want to leave once she's stable. Take Mandu somewhere safe, away from this world. I'll support you both financially, make sure you're protected, but I won't. His voice broke. I won't trap you here. Before I could respond, alarms blared throughout the mansion. Sam Jiopsal burst through the door. Boss, we've got a situation. Han Jajingmyan's men are at the south gate. They're demanding. He glanced at me. They're demanding the Omega and the baby. Bulgogi's entire demeanor changed. The vulnerable man disappeared, replaced by the MAFIA boss. How many? 20, maybe more. He's threatening to attack if we don't hand them over within the hour. He wants leverage, I realized. If he has your daughter, he can control you. He's not getting anywhere near my daughter. Bulgogi's voice was ice. Sam Jiopsal, full lockdown. Triple the guards on this wing. Get Lee Hadiak out of retirement. I need his tactical experience. And call in every favor we have with the police. Boss, if we escalate this, I don't care. He looked at Mandu, then at me. He threatened my family. I'm going to dismantle his entire operation brick by brick. Over the next 2 days, I watched Kong Bulgogi wage war while simultaneously being the most devoted father I'd ever seen. He'd leave to handle business. I tried not to think about what that meant. Come back covered in what I really hoped wasn't blood, shower, and immediately go to Mandu for skin-to-skin contact. Lee Hatiak arrived, a terrifying older man with kind eyes who immediately took over the kitchen and announced he was Grandpa now. His cooking was terrible, but he made it with such love that I couldn't complain. Sundabu and Japchi somehow talked their way past security. Japchi was filming everything for her documentary, bringing me actual edible food and emotional support. Your baby daddy is hot, Japchi whispered while Bulgogi was across the room with Mandu. Like scary hot, murder hot. I'm conflicted. You and me both, I admitted. On day 3, Sam Jiopsal brought news. Jajingmyan's entire operation is dismantled. His assets are frozen, his men have scattered, and he's been arrested on 17 counts of racketeering, murder, and kidnapping. How? I asked. Bulgogi looked up from Mandu. I called in every political favor I had. Provided evidence to prosecutors. Made it clear that anyone who stood with him stood against me. His expression darkened. No one threatens my daughter and lives to profit from it. That night, while Mandu slept peacefully in her incubator, Dr. Tekbaki said she was gaining weight and might not need the NICU much longer. Bulgogi and I finally talked. I can't give up everything, he said quietly. This world is all I know. The organization, the business, some of it's legitimate, some isn't. But I can be better. For Mandu. For you. I'm not asking you to change completely, I said carefully. Just, maybe fewer murders? As a start. He actually laughed. I can work with that. Semi-legitimate crime. Classier operations. No human trafficking, no drugs, nothing that would make Mandu ashamed of her father when she's older. That's oddly specific. I've been thinking about it a lot. He reached over, his hand hovering near mine. Can I? I laced my fingers through his. You're the father of my child, Gogi. You can hold my hand. I want to be more than that, he admitted. But I'll take whatever you're willing to give. We sat there in the soft glow of medical equipment, watching our premature daughter fight to grow stronger, and I realized that somehow, impossibly, I was falling for the mafia boss who cried over our baby and was trying to be better for us. It was terrifying. It was beautiful. And I had no idea how we'd make this work, but looking at Bulgogi's hopeful expression and Mandu's tiny perfect face, I knew I wanted to try. 3 weeks in the NICU, and Kong Bulgogi had become a different person. Well, not completely different. He still ran a criminal empire. Still had people who feared him. Still occasionally came home with that look that said someone had made a very bad decision and wouldn't be making any more decisions ever again. But he also knew the exact temperature Mandu liked her bottles, could change a diaper in under 30 seconds, and cried every single time she did something new. She smiled. He'd announced yesterday at 3 a.m., shaking me awake. Bap, she smiled at me. A real smile, not gas. That was definitely gas, Gogi. It was a smile, and I'm getting it tattooed on my heart. I was living in the main mansion now. It seemed stupid to stay in the guest house when our daughter was here. My room was next to the nursery, and Bulgogi's room was on the other side. Very proper. Very separate. Except he kept falling asleep in the rocking chair in the nursery, and I'd find him there every morning, Mandu on his chest, both of them peaceful in a way that made my heart hurt. You need to sleep in an actual bed, I told him one morning, covering them both with a blanket. Can't. What if she needs me? That's what baby monitors are for. Not the same. He adjusted his hold on Mandu, who was now healthy enough to be out of the incubator but still tiny. What if she cries and I'm not here? Then I'll be here, you disaster of a man. He looked up at me, and something in his expression made me freeze. I don't deserve this. Either of you. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to. Dr. Tekbaki cleared Mandu to leave the NICU on a Tuesday. Bulgogi immediately threw the most ridiculous welcome home party I'd ever seen. There were balloons, a cake that said, "Congratulations on being born," and at least 20 armed guards wearing party hats because Lee Hadiak insisted. This is insane, I said, watching Samgyeopsal try to eat cake while maintaining his threatening bodyguard aura. This is family, Lee Hadiak corrected, appearing with his terrible cooking. Try my bulgogi. I named it after my boy. It was burnt. I ate it anyway because Lee Hadiak looked so proud. That night, after everyone left and Mandu was asleep, Bulgogi found me in the nursery. We need to talk, he said quietly. My stomach dropped. That sounds ominous. It's not. I hope it's not. He sat down, looking more nervous than I'd ever seen him. Why didn't you tell me? And don't say it's because I'm a mafia boss. I need the real reason. I was quiet for a long time, watching Mandu sleep. Because that night meant everything to me, and the money made me feel like it meant nothing to you. Like I was just another transaction in your world of transactions. And then I found out who you really were, and I thought, my voice cracked. I thought you'd see the baby as a weakness. Something to eliminate. You thought I'd hurt my own child? I thought you'd hurt me to protect yourself. Men like you don't have weaknesses, Gogi. They have liabilities. And a secret baby with some random Omega artist? That's the biggest liability there is. He was quiet, processing. That night was the first time I felt human in 10 years, Bap. You looked at me, really looked at me, and you didn't see the monster. You saw. I don't even know what you saw, but it wasn't what everyone else sees. He gestured helplessly. The money was because I'm an idiot who doesn't know how to express feelings like a normal person. I wanted to give you something, anything, to show that it mattered. That you mattered. And I completely fucked it up. You really did. I know. He moved closer. I've been in love with you for 3 years. Attended every single one of your small gallery showings. That tiny exhibition in Hongdae where only 5 people came? I was one of them. The student show in Itaewon where your professor barely mentioned your work? I stood there for 2 hours studying every brushstroke. The charity auction wasn't random, Bap. I'd been building up courage for 3 years to actually talk to you. Tears were streaming down my face. 3 years. 3 years of being too afraid to approach you because men like me don't deserve beautiful things. We destroy them. His voice dropped. I'm still terrified I'll destroy this. Destroy us. That Mandu will grow up and realize her father is a monster, or that you'll wake up one day and see what everyone else sees. I see a man who sat in a bathroom for 3 days during someone's heat to protect them, I said softly. Wait, wrong story. I see a man who cries every time his daughter sneezes. Who's trying to go semi-legitimate for his family. Who burns bulgogi but keeps trying because Lee Hadiak looks so happy teaching him. The bulgogi thing is really hard, he admitted. There are so many steps. I laughed through my tears. You can orchestrate complex criminal operations, but you can't cook meat? In my defense, the meat doesn't shoot back. And just like that, I was kissing him. 3 years of his secret devotion, 6 weeks of my terrified hiding, 3 weeks of watching him be the most devoted father. All of it culminated in this moment where I finally let myself believe that maybe, possibly, this could work. He kissed me back like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When we broke apart, he was crying. I don't want to be just Mandu's father. If you'll let me, I want to be yours too. Your partner. He stumbled over the word. Your alpha. If you'll have me. You're a mafia boss who cries at everything and can't cook. I'm working on the cooking part. You're probably going to get arrested someday. I'm working on the legitimate business expansion. Mandu's first words are probably going to be something crime-related. I'm hoping for but I'll take laundering. I kissed him again. Yes, you disaster. Yes. The proposal came 3 months later, and it was so perfectly bulgogi that I couldn't even be mad. I was in my studio. He'd converted an entire wing of the mansion into an art space, working on a new series. I reached for my cerulean blue paint tube and found it unusually heavy. Inside was a ring, covered in paint. Because of course it was. G.I. He appeared in the doorway, looking sheepish. I had a whole plan. There were supposed to be flowers. And maybe skywriting. Sam Giopsel talked me out of the skywriting. There's paint on this ring. It's symbolic. Art brought us together. He was blushing now. Also, I panicked and hid it in the first place I saw and forgot about it for 3 days, and I was laughing and crying and holding this ridiculous paint-covered ring. You're proposing to me with a ring hidden in a paint tube? Is that a no? You're the most ridiculous man I've ever met, and yes, obviously yes. He pulled me close, not caring about the paint getting everywhere. Marry me. Not because of Mandu. Not because it makes sense. Because I love you. Because you see Gogi, not the monster everyone else sees. Because you make me want to be better. I love you too, I whispered. Even though you're terrible at cooking and you cry at everything and you're probably going to get us killed someday. I'm working on all of those things. Except the crying. I've accepted the crying. Mandu chose that moment to cry from the nursery, and we both rushed to her, bulgogi getting there first because he'd apparently developed super hearing for baby cries. What's wrong, Dumpling? He scooped her up, immediately checking her diaper, her temperature, her everything. She just wanted attention. She smiled at him, a real smile this time, not gas, and he burst into tears. She smiled again, he sobbed happily. Bap, she smiled. Lee Hadiak appeared in the doorway. You've gone completely soft, boy. Your enemies would laugh. Let them laugh. Bulgogi was covered in baby drool and paint from hugging me, tears streaming down his face. This is better than any empire. 1 year later, at my gallery opening, which Bulgogi attended in a perfectly tailored suit, Mandu in his arms wearing a tiny dress, he bought every single painting. Fin. You can't keep doing this, I protested. Other people want to buy my art. Too bad. It's mine. You're mine. Everything you create is mine. He kissed my temple. I'm a crime lord. Let me be possessive about something legal for once. Japchi's documentary, Knocked Up by the Mob, A Love Story, was playing on a screen in the corner. It had somehow gone viral, turning our chaotic story into internet gold. We're famous, I said, watching people take selfies with the documentary. You're famous, Bulgogi corrected. I'm just the dangerous arm candy. Dangerous arm candy who cries when his daughter sneezes. She's so small. What if the sneeze hurts her? That's not how sneezes work, Gogi. Mandu chose that moment to say her first word. We both froze. Did she just? I started. Papa! Mandu repeated, reaching for Bulgogi. He immediately burst into tears, clutching her to his chest while trying not to squeeze too hard. She said Papa. Bap, she said Papa. Her first word is Papa. Everyone is staring, I whispered. I don't care. He was full-on sobbing now. My daughter said Papa. Lee Hadiak appeared with his burnt bulgogi. You've gone completely soft, boy. Best thing that ever happened to you. And watching Bulgogi cry happy tears over our daughter while surrounded by my art and our chaotic found family, I had to agree. Best mistake I ever made.